Today I'm going to do a 3-card spread with the intention of helping you remove blocks in your life. So wherever you're feeling stuck, unsure, confused, we're going to try to get some information for you today about what would help you actually break through. So I'm going to do a 3-card spread with the tarot, and then I will also do clarifiers with the Prism Oracle. The first card is going to represent what you perceive is the problem, but is actually not the problem. The second card is going to represent what the actual problem is, what's actually blocking you from moving forward in whatever area of your life you're feeling stuck in. And then the third card is going to represent what would create a breakthrough. So we're going to start with the tarot here. 3 cards, please. First card, once again, is what you perceive is the problem, but is actually not the problem. Wonderful. Second card, what's the actual problem, please? That's too many. Second card, please, what's the actual problem? And third card, what would create a breakthrough? All right, so we've got our 3 tarot cards here. Let's flip them over and see what we've got. Okay. So we've got the 9 of Pentacles as the perceived problem. We've got the High Priestess as the actual problem. And 7 of Pentacles as what would create a breakthrough. So before we get into the story of these cards, let's get some clarifiers. But first, oh my gosh, look at this deep violet color and how it matches this iris. That feels noteworthy and beautiful. Okay, let's see. Let's get some clarifiers here. Okay, clarifier for the first card, please. Clarifier for the 9 of Pentacles. I don't feel confident in that. Let's try again. There we go. Oh, funny confidence came up. You can't make this stuff up. Okay, so clarifying the 9 of Pentacles is passion in reverse and confidence upright. All right. Got some cards here that are flipped, so let's put them back. There we go. Okay. Clarifier for the High Priestess, please. Clarifier for the High Priestess, please. There we go. Balance, upright. And then finally a clarifier for the 7 of Pentacles. Surrender in reverse. Okay, here we go. So once again, this first section of the reading represents what you perceive is the problem, but is actually not the problem. And that's a powerful distinction, right? When we can move from trying to correct a problem that isn't actually there to what the actual problem is, there's power in that. So a lot of times we can put our energy towards correcting an imbalance that isn't the actual imbalance we're supposed to be correcting. Or it's a perceived imbalance when there's actually a real imbalance that we're not aware of that needs our tending to. So once again, this part of the reading represents what you think the problem is, but is actually not the problem. And that is the 9 of Pentacles clarified by passion in reverse and confidence upright. The second card represents what the actual problem is. So when we can get clear on what the actual problem is, then we can get clear on what the actual solution is. So these cards are, for the actual problem, are the High Priestess clarified by balance, a green card. And then what would create a breakthrough, the third part of this reading, is the 7 of Pentacles clarified by surrender in reverse. Okay, wow, so these cards are really telling me a beautiful story. Let's start with the colors. As I already mentioned, this deep violet up here at the center of your reading at the High Priestess is really playing off the colors here at the base of the flowers, that beautiful iris. But then look at these cards together. Look at how the 9 of Pentacles, see that gold, is really beautifully matching the golden iris, and how this dark brown is kind of coming out in the confidence with the passion, the red kind of pulling here. And it's kind of like this smattering of colors, which is kind of what this arrangement is here too, like an interesting, unique smattering of colors. Look at how we have the green and the green showing up here, green in the High Priestess, green in the balance. And then we have that light gray showing up in the Seven of Pentacles. So there's like a harmony and a balance to what seemingly doesn't look like harmony, if that makes sense. Like these cards don't like, these colors don't necessarily like go together, so to speak. But there's, when looked at cohesively, there is like something really beautiful happening. And I think that might be something that wants to be said at the onset. So whatever you're coming to this reading for, so whatever area of your life that you're feeling stuck in right now that you feel like is a problem area, when you can zoom out a little bit and see how there is things being brought into harmony through the process of going through this situation, I think that's going to be helpful. And there's that beautiful quote, I think it's by Coco Chanel, and you've probably heard of it, and it's called, it goes, "The only way out is through." And I think that is something that wants to be said here, like the only way out is through. Like there's, sometimes our problems are initiations for us to grow and challenge ourselves and become a stronger, healthier version of ourselves. And the only way to do that is, instead of trying to dodge the problems, even if it looks like we would rather do that because there's like a little incohesiveness, again, here kind of represented by the colors, like the colors don't really go together, but they kind of do. Do you know what I mean? Like you've got this red, but then here you have this like beautiful magenta just kind of peeking out that really blends in with the flower. Do you know what I mean? And so like looking at it as a whole, things make sense, but we have to zoom out and be willing to look. And we also have to be willing to step by step go through. So I don't mean to undermine any discomfort that you're feeling in the process of being in the midst of this block, being in the midst of this struggle, being in the midst of this problem. But I guess what I want to say is like what feels like is true is you were intended to go through this. Like with High Priestess at the center of your reading, the High Priestess is a major arcana. So one way that major arcana speak to me is that we like when major arcana show up, our actions are more minor. When minor arcana show up, our actions are more major in terms of the trajectory of our life. So when major arcana is showing up in the middle of your reading, to me that's saying it is bigger than you. You know, you might have tried to avoid this problem your whole life, or like you did everything you thought you could to avoid the problem, and you're thinking like, why am I still stuck in this? Why did I have this problem? I tried so hard to avoid it. Well, to me, it's very clear that you couldn't have, there's no way to avoid it. Eventually you were going to have to face the thing that you're facing now, look at it and go through it, and bring harmony to perceive chaos. That's kind of a weird way to say it, but I hope you understand what I mean. Like, it's like balance. Here's this balance is showing up in clarifying the High Priestess. But it's like higher level balance. That's what wants to come through. So you know how like it's easy to like go matchy in design or something, right? But it takes more skill and it takes more like vision to see beauty that's not matchy. So there's like balance, there's balance in the complexity. Balance will come through the complexity, or there's like beauty in the complexity too. So I guess that's the first thing that wants to be said. It's like hopefully you can find a little relief in the fact that you couldn't have avoided this. You were intended to go through this. So whatever you did to try to avoid it, and it didn't work, that's okay. It wasn't intended to. You were intended to go through this problem, face this block, remove it, get bigger than it. It's an initiation to something much better. So with all that being said, to preface, let's start here with the first card. So your first card is the Nine of Pentacles, again, clarified by passion in reverse and confidence. And this is the section of the reading that represents what you perceived prior to this reading, what you perceived the problem was, but it's not actually the problem. And so what this section of the reading is speaking to me of is there seems like something like you want it. So Nine of Pentacles, one way to read it and what's intuitively coming through in this reading is like self-sufficiency, right? So I think what you perceive the problem was is like in whatever area of your life that you are struggling with right now, you think that you're just like, I'm not self-sufficient yet. Okay. So let's say that's in relationships. And so that means maybe you're not like, you don't feel like you're standing on your own 2 feet, understand your boundaries, understand your agency. So there's more like codependency happening. And so you're like, if I could just be like self-sufficient, these relationships would go better. Maybe it's in like your business or your finances. You're just like, if I could just be self-sufficient, then all these problems would clear themselves up, and I could just be confident. And the reason I'm not like, the reason this problem is sustaining is like, I don't have that self-sufficiency and the confidence. And so I'm like lacking in passion. And so I'm like, and the whole energy of this first part of the spread, what it feels like it's telling me is like cart before horse energy. So do you know how like in life, we typically like we always think that like, we always get the cart before the horse. We always think like, well, if I just get this, then I'll be happy. If I just think this, then I'll feel blank. When in reality, we have to like flip it. We have to like feel that way. We have to internally change things within ourselves, and then externally things happen naturally. Do you know what I mean? And so there's kind of that energy here of like, and the hard part about that is it's really elusive, isn't it? And it's really like seductive, because we can like go what this feels like, and even like that is kind of showing it to a certain extent. It kind of feels like this rabbit hole in this energy. Like your energy can go into this rabbit hole of thinking like, if you just already had what you wanted. Do you know what I mean? Because if like we were already just like self-sufficient in our finances or self-sufficient in a relationship, then we wouldn't have the problems in the relationship or our finances or our health. Do you get what I'm saying? But then there's like this energy that feels like it's like this vicious cycle where you are thinking, well, if I just already had it, or I already knew it, or that's the solution is to like already have it. Isn't that weird? Does that resonate though? And I'm not laughing at you. I'm just like laughing at how funny how funny our thought processes are as humans sometimes, and how we are like masters at keeping ourselves stuck sometimes, because we think like all I want, like all most people want is 9 of Pentacles. Like 9 of Pentacles is amazing energy. It is like standing on 2 solid feet, agency, self-sufficiency, sustainability. Like 9 of Pentacles is a cool energy, right? So we often think like that's all I want, but like if I don't have it, so the problem is I don't have it, versus like thinking there might be something else going on here, right? Which is we're going to get to in the second part of the reading. So I feel like it's like I want to I want to have confidence so I can feel confident, or I want to have it feels important. What am I trying to say here? It's like, it's just the energy of cart before the horse. It really is. It's like I want to have this big, beautiful, grand life so I can feel confident, versus being like, I need to look at the areas of my life, or the aspects within myself where I don't feel confident and I don't feel self-sufficient, and I need to deal with those internally before I try to make the changes in the external problem. And so I think the big strong message that wants to come through is just to become more aware of that thinking. And when you can catch it, stop it, because right now it's being funneled into that like rabbit hole of energy, versus being able to funnel your energy to what the actual problem is and what can actually create the breakthrough, right? So when we can just get stuck thinking, well, like I'm not confident, I'm not self-sufficient, and I'm not like feeling passionate, and that's the problem, and I don't really know, like I'm not confident and I don't know how to be more confident, and I'm not self-sufficient and I don't know how to be more self-sufficient. Do you see how it's just like this rabbit hole, and it's like this vicious cycle? But when you can catch that and just be like, okay, that's not the problem. I don't already have to be successful to get successful. I don't already have to be sustained to get self-sustainable, to become self-sustainable or self-sustained. I don't already have to be full of agency, full of self-respect to grow in my agency and grow in my self-respect. Does that make sense? I don't already have to be full of confidence to one day grow in my confidence and become more confident. I guess it's like, start where you are. What's that quote? I don't know who says it, but it's like, start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. So I think what you perceive the problem is like that you're supposed to be already further ahead, and you can't start where you are. I guess that's what wants to be said. What you perceive the problem is that you can't start where you are. So like the opposite of that quote, like what you perceive the problem is like start 10 years ahead of where you're at now, or start like $10,000 ahead of where you're at now, or so on and so forth. So, but that's not true. You can start where you are. So catch yourself when you have any different rumblings of that same content, that same energy, where you're telling yourself you can't start where you are. You're telling yourself that's the problem, but it's not the problem. You can start where you are. So now let's move to the second part of this reading, which is the actual problem. And that's the High Priestess clarified by balance, a green card. So green cards represent, or in this reading at least, to me, they represent the heart chakra, okay? Which makes a lot of sense. So I feel like rebalancing will come through your heart chakra. So anytime you can bring awareness literally to that part of your body, I think that's going to be very healing. But there's something here too. The beauty of the High Priestess is it's like the complete opposite of this first energy here. Because the High Priestess is willing to be confident without knowing. And when I say without knowing, she has deep, deep, deep spiritual intuition that comes from her heart chakra, right? Deep, deep, deep. And look at maybe that's what that green represents. Like the path forward is on the, I don't know what I want to say there, but like it's on the path forward is through the heart center, through the green heart center. And so she has this deep knowing, but she has deep spiritual knowing, but she doesn't always need to know. Do you know what I'm saying? So like deep spiritual knowing and not always needing to know in life as a human can coexist, right? Where like this energy, what you perceive as the problem but isn't, feels like you kind of always need to know. You always, like you can't start where you are. You should be further ahead. You're already behind. And you need to know exactly the right steps. And the reason you can't get to where you are is because that's not happening, right? But the High Priestess really is more of an embodiment of that quote I mentioned before, like start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. Take things one step at a time and be guided by your spiritual intuition coming from your heart center. And it's making me think of that Martin Luther King Jr. quote, something along the lines of like, you never, like on the stairway to success or the stairway of faith or something like that, like you literally only see the next step, right? And so there's a surrender in the High Priestess in terms of like that she's not striving to be further along. She's not striving to know it all. She's just striving to have knowing. Can you feel the difference? Like trying to know it all the next steps, all the stairs on your staircase, all the next, versus like I'm practicing being in the know, one step at a time, in the know with myself, in the know of what my heart is telling me, in the know of what Mother God is telling me. And so I think like that's, in terms of this spread, is saying like, if there is a problem, that is the actual problem, is that energy is being blocked. And I think it's being blocked by this energy, like thinking you have to know to move forward. Where if there can be a practice of that paradox, deep knowing with absolutely no knowing. Do you know what I mean? Or what's another way to put it? Like confidence in the not knowing. There's an embodiment of the power of mystery. There's a willingness to take things one step at a time. There's a willingness here to be where you are, start where you're at, and not try to act like you're further ahead. You know what I mean? And because then we can be met. Do you know what I mean? We can be met by synchronicity. We can be met by the grace of Mother God. But when we're trying to be further ahead than we actually are, we're actually blocking the met energy. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, all we want, each of us human beings here on planet Earth, we just want to be met, right? We want to be welcomed. We want to be met with love, met with grace, met with understanding, met with validity, met with being seen, right? But the reality is more often than not, we're the ones actually blocking that met energy, a willingness to be met. And so I think that is the real problem of like the actual block is right now, and I think this is probably changing if you're already listening to this point in the video, but in the past, you were blocking that willingness to be met and that willingness to see life as a bit more mysterious and adventurous, but to hold the power of that and to be like, life is for me. I am the director of my life. But I don't direct through coercion, and I don't direct through trying to look a certain way, and I can't direct through knowing all the steps. I actually direct through my heart center and my deep spiritual intuition, and through that, imbalances are corrected and balances are brought in. And also through that, we are more able to recognize imbalances at subtler and subtler stages that can be corrected. Because we're in this energy, we're just trying to like check the boxes. Do you know what I mean? We're just trying to like go through the hoops. Oh my God, and there's like hoops in this. That's wild. But do you know what I'm saying? Where this energy, it's like, okay, I'm meeting myself, I'm meeting life, I'm allowing life to meet me. I'm taking things one step at a time with a grander vision. Do you know what I mean? And maybe that's what this beauty of this violet here is. It's not like a flippant presence. It's not like a flippant taking one thing at a time. It's like you have a grander vision of aligning to things that are important to you, what values, so on and so forth. And you hold that grander vision as your North Star, and you take things one step at a time, led by your heart center. So then let's move to this final part of the reading, which is what would create a breakthrough. And that's Seven of Pentacles clarified by surrender. And so the interesting thing about, I'm just noticing the gold is playing off of this card as well, and the flowers. And these rings are similar here. So what this is speaking to me of in this reading is actually strategy. So this is going to sound like a bit of a paradox, but hear me out here. So what I just said was you got to surrender to the mystery. And what will create a breakthrough? Both things can be true. And what will create a breakthrough is strategy. So that's one way to interpret the Seven of Pentacles card is strategy. And I think that is what surrender in reverse is trying to speak about in this particular, clarifying this particular card is instead of, because surrender can be a beautiful thing, right? And we spoke of surrender in the conversation about the second part with the High Priestess. But when I saw it like this, I didn't see it as surrender as a beautiful thing. I saw it as when we use surrender, but it's actually victim mindset, right? So we're not like putting things into practice that we can. So what will create a breakthrough is being strategic in whatever area of your life you are feeling stuck. But it has to be combined with this High Priestess energy, okay? Because over here, with the first part of the reading, it's as if we have strategy, but it's a manipulative strategy. It's control. It's like, yeah, it's strategy with the wrong energy behind it, right? Where if then we can remove that block, the actual problem is not embodying High Priestess energy. So as you can embody High Priestess energy, and then you put strategy and building of skill sets into place, that seems to be what's going to create the breakthrough. And it doesn't matter if it's not in a area of your life where, like for example, if you're coming to this reading for like relationship help versus like career help, sometimes it's weird to think about being strategic in a relationship, and it's weird to think about building skill sets in a relationship. But it's been my experience that we actually do need to be strategic in relationships, and we do need to build relational skill sets. And so beginning to think in that way, regardless of what area of your life it is, like how could I be more strategic? How could I become more skillful? instead of this surrender energy, which again, to me in this particular spread, in this reading, is saying to me like a giving away of power. So it's not like, everything can be used in a light or dark sort of way, a light or shadow sort of way, right? And so surrender can be used in a really beautiful way. Again, we spoke about that in regards to this high priestess, right? But then sometimes we can have the illusion of surrender, but really we're just giving our power away, and we're not putting things into practice that would build towards more balance, build towards more agency, build towards solving the problems that we want, the resolutions that we want, so on and so forth. And so it's that very interesting but beautiful paradox that's coming through that is, in just no doubt in my mind, I can just feel it for you, will create the breakthrough. And it's that paradox of this two combination. You remove the block through the willingness to practice and embody more of that high priestess energy, which frankly is surrender, right? And then boom, with that energy more in place, then the action that you're taking is tangible, building of skills, being strategic, being more strategic, and instead of yielding your power, which is again what I feel like the surrender is speaking about in this reading, a yielding of power, you are implementing your power, you're bringing your power back to you, and there's no doubt in my mind that that's going to create a major breakthrough for you, because it's very opposite of this energy, that what we started with, right? Which is like, again, the checking of boxes, the jumping through hoops, the doing what seems like you should be done, the trying to be 10 steps ahead instead of where you're at, forcing, manipulating. What is needed instead is, again, this beautiful embodiment of high priestess plus strategy, and you're going to get the ball rolling. That's what it looks like here, doesn't it? I'm excited for you. Once again, I don't mean to undermine any discomfort you're going through. It's difficult to navigate our problems here on planet Earth as humans, isn't it? And the more we're willing to do it, and you just like coming to this reading and getting to this point shows such a willingness to, instead of staying stuck in the problem, like really just be willing to see things differently, approach it differently. And the more we do that, the more we build in our capacity to meet our problems. You know what I mean? Because I think a lot of times we're all trying to have like problem-free lives, and that has never worked for me as much as I wanted it. But what has worked for me is building my capacity to problem solve, building my capacity to be with problems without going down the shame spiral, and to unlock different versions of myself in order to solve the problems. And so I feel that for you in this. So as much as I am sorry for the discomfort you're going through in whatever block you're experiencing, I'm also excited for you, because you have the capacity to awaken a whole different version of yourself, and then forevermore be that stronger version with those different skill sets and experiences, and with that greater capacity to be with life, both the beauty of it and the discomfort of it. So kudos to you. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you found a few things helpful, and I really wish you all the best as you navigate this and break through to resolution, and then a different version of yourself, with a whole different array of options, opportunities, rewards, and benefits.